What's up you guys, it's Lace from Sparxxyy and welcome back to a long overdue Spyro Reignited Trilogy video. I apologise that I just suddenly stopped making Spyro videos for a while, a little after the game was announced and during the time the gameplay was released and the hype was at its highest, I was on a break from YouTube. Additionally, I've just been trying to branch out my content by making videos about other games I've been interested in, so make sure you check those out if you are intrigued. Anyway, I'm back to making my return to Spyro now. In today's video, I'm going to be giving my own opinion on what I think of the game so far, as I haven't really. I'm not very good at keeping up with the news these days, so I'd rather just analyse and talk my mind about these things instead. Please comment down below what you think of the game so far, however if you do so, I do ask that you respect each other's opinions as well as my own. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. The main thing I want to point out, and I'm sure that everyone else will point out, is the aesthetic and style of the game is the first noticeable thing. As you can tell from the older games, some levels are quite colourful, bright and stand out from each other, so each level feels like a unique experience. Whereas some are the complete opposite. I'm happy to say that the Reignited Trilogy stays true to that. Each level is bright, dynamic and mesmerising with the aid of the new graphics engines, which is definitely a step up from the polygon days. Even the darker looking levels are amazing, with the lighting being on point. The old cartoon style has made a great comeback too. With the updated graphics 20 years on, the animations of the characters still remain quirky just like they were in the previous games. Speaking of quirky, this little guy is back too. There are also a handful of new animations to improve the game, such as the dialogue cutscenes, lip syncing, and gestures when a character speaks, which weren't that great in the original games. I'm also a massive fan of the general environment of each level. The grass actually has texture, lighting and animation. Also, when Spyro breathes fire, the grass gets burnt, which is a cool little detail, may I add. Activision and Toys for Bob have done an amazing job at making the Reignited Trilogy stay as true to the original as possible. This is convenient for me, as I've only ever played Spyro Year of the Dragon. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to play Spyro 1 and 2 because they were a little bit before my time, so luckily for me, I get to experience that just how it was, but even better. The original games were carefully studied by these companies so they could perfect the Reignited Trilogy in that department. New players will get that fresh experience, as players returning to the game will get that nostalgic experience, so in the end, everybody wins. The next thing I want to briefly touch upon is the soundtrack. I have heard little segments of soundtrack from the trailers and also from gameplay videos, which I find very interesting. And so far they're sounding pretty good. I have heard comparisons from the original to now and the current version of the game, the Reignited, so I find that really good and they've really kept it how it was and they haven't changed it too much, kind of like with Crash Bandicoot Insane. The updated soundtrack has also been faithfully remastered by the same composer who was responsible for composing the soundtrack of the previous games by the name of Stuart Copeland. I'm not sure if this is actually true or not, but apparently you can switch from remastered to original soundtrack in-game. Don't take my word for it though, I just heard this rumour somewhere, so I'm not sure if that's false or not. I'm honestly so excited to hear the Spyro 3 soundtrack remastered because whenever I hear an OST from Spyro 3, I just get the nostalgia chills, so I can't imagine what it will be like once they have all been fully remastered. And last but certainly not least, my opinion of this trilogy happening as a whole, because I haven't really touched upon that. Obviously, as indicated in some of my older Spyro videos, I am extremely enthusiastic about the Reignited Trilogy, more enthusiastic than I was about the Insane Trilogy, so putting it briefly, I think it's awesome that this is happening. I think the primary reason that I was a lot more enthusiastic about Reignited than Insane is because I was subconsciously nervous about Crash Bandicoot going back into the hands of Activision and Vicarious Visions, as in the past it wasn't very successful. Though despite our worries, Activision and Vicarious Visions knocked Crash out of the park, having it as a bestseller for months on end, and it is receiving a lot of praise, even a year later. After how well the Insane Trilogy was made and how well it was treated and released, I trust that Activision will do the same for Spyro, as he is just as loved as Crash. Unless you're extremely critical, which I guess isn't a bad thing, the Reignited Trilogy is looking good, and there isn't a whole lot to pick on about so far, in my opinion anyway. I think it's about time that we just got a good Spyro game, you know? All the previous Spyro games, excluding the original trilogy, just weren't that great. The series pretty much flopped in popularity in comparison to its original days, Each Spyro game released after the year 2000 just wasn't that good. They were either rushed, buggy, the story contradicted itself, or just borderline unplayable. It took a harder fall than Crash Bandicoot did. Thankfully, Spyro is finally getting the treatment that it deserves. After 18 years of meh Spyro games, we are finally getting the glorious remake that has been asked for years. Just listening to the community and giving them what they really want does do justice. That is all of my thoughts thus far on the Reignited Trilogy. Comment down below your opinions on the Reignited Trilogy. I like reading what you have to say too, because everybody has a different opinion. Please follow my social media such as my Twitter and Instagram. There is always a link down in the description to follow those. I just mostly update you guys on my content, what's coming and when the next video is, whatnot. Thank you for watching and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye and take care.